Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this simulcast live stream from yours truly, Jackson Johnson, live from the Marriott, and Jeffrey Molly Talk Sports, Austin from Sports Talk with Austin, as we go over each of the top 10 conference games for the 2025-2026 college football season. Going in as we have 34 days left until week 0, 39 days until week 1, 40 days till Auburn, Baylor, Colorado, Georgia Tech, 41 days until week 1 Saturday, 42 days until Notre Dame, Miami, Virginia Tech, South Carolina, and 43 days until the Bill Belichick era at Chapel Hill between the North Carolina Tar Heels and the TCU Horned Frogs. And let me tell you something, folks, you're going to be in for a wild ride on this Sunday night, 9:45 p.m. Central Time, 10:45 p.m. Eastern Time, as it is 1 hour and 15 minutes away from midnight in Jeffries and Austin's time zone, which means we will be getting to 33 days until week 0. Gentlemen, how you doing today?
Doing great. That exciting intro from you, Jackson, has already got us pumped up to talk about some conference games, the best conference games, or the most impactful for the 2025-2026 season. Should be a lot of fun, and definitely love the new digs, man. The Marriott's looking nice.
Oh, thanks, man. But I'll be there. There's some shows where you'll see me here in this temporary habitat, but at some point, you'll definitely be seeing me back in my natural habitat. So
Doing pretty
no
good
worries.
myself, guys. Doing pretty good myself. Looking forward to this. It'll be interesting because there's a lot of great games in conference. Better conference games than non-conference games. I will say that off the top of my head. We had a hoover time putting this together, especially me and Jackson, because Mr. Jackson over here wanted to put Alabama on here 4 times, but I had to stop it before it was too late. Power hungry. Mr. Jeffrey over here, he wanted to put LSU because he's a BK fan. You could tell.
Yeah, that definitely was not the case. Me and BK, we do not go that far back. So probably would have been okay with leaving LSU off the list entirely. But yeah, so we'll definitely get to that. Alabama on the list for that wouldn't be fair. You gotta only have the same team on the list only twice at the max. So that's fair in that regard. So
there we go.
And Godfather says 4 times go, Jeffrey. The Godfather's on board for that. See, Jeffrey, he likes your power hungriness for Bama. So somebody
we appreciate it, Godfather of the SEC. I mean, he knows where it's at. Roll Tide, roll, baby.
There we go. Thank you for tuning in on tonight's edition of the simulcast live stream, Godfather. We appreciate you very much, good buddy.
Mm-hmm. But you want to know something, guys? We picked out 10 great games, but I think it would be unfair if we didn't do the teams that just missed the list some justice. So let's talk about those honorable mentions, those teams that were just this close. Who wants to start?
There we go. Just a bit outside, they tried to make the corner. Ball 8, ball 4, ball 20.
Who wants to start?
I'd like to hear Jackson's list first if he wants to go. I'd like to hear it.
Oh, there we go. Well, and then we will definitely get to Austin for sure. Georgia, Tennessee is on my honorable mentions. LSU, Florida, I believe, is in the honorable mentions list because, I mean, that's going to be an interesting momentum setter for whoever wins that game. And I'm just like, I'm already just getting excited thinking about September 13th because it's like, 2:30, it's going to be nuts. 6:30, it's going to be nuts. It's going to be completely insane what's going on. And, I've gotten really thinking about it as well because, like, Alabama, Tennessee's on there. It would have been top 10, but the thing is, Tennessee's lost a bit of their luster because their quarterback situation.
Yeah.
It's just terrible. And I'm not putting Alabama and LSU on my honorable mentions, but because it's like nothing personal against it, but it just gets way too overhyped by ESPN. It's not a rivalry. At least not in my book, it is. But
Listen. If you all want to hear LSU Brian Kelly debate, wait till me and Jackson start doing shows together. That's gonna happen. If you missed it last year, get ready. It's coming again. Me and Jackson are gonna have another one of them. Is Brian Kelly a top 10 head coach? And then he's gonna lose, and then Jackson's gonna be like, I tried to warn you, and then it starts all over again. So stay tuned for that.
Oh man.
But
there we go.
But proceed.
Oh man. There we go. Well, thanks, man. Anyway, so like Illinois, Indiana, that's also part of the honorable mentions for me. Because the fact of the matter is, whoever wins that game is going to get closer to the top four for the Big Ten. And personally, I think if you're in the top four of the SEC or the top four of the Big Ten, you're in the playoffs. Like if you're in the championship game for the Big Ten or the SEC, you're in the playoffs. It's just a matter of whoever wins gets that first round bye. Whereas, like, you're in no matter what if you're the runner-up. You're in no matter what if you're in third and fourth place. And Illinois, Indiana is going to be a momentum setter for the rest of the season because the next game after each other is going to be tough. And honestly, I looked at the other games like BYU Colorado is going to be a good one. BYU Utah will be fun. Now, Utah kind of feels like that team that can turn it around after the disastrous losing season they had last year. I think that could happen. And the Alamo Bowl rematch between BYU Colorado on September 27th on After Dark, that's going to be lit. That's like a perfect dessert after Alabama, Georgia, and Penn State, Oregon, and LSU Ole Miss. But we'll be talking a lot about September 27th tonight. And Florida State Miami's on my honorable mentions because, like, hey, it's Florida State Miami. I love that rivalry. I'm a sucker for it. So there you go. But I said what I said. We'll get to Austin's honorable mentions, and then we will get to Jeffrey's honorable mentions, and we will get rocking and rolling with this top 10, ladies and gentlemen.
Jeffrey, you can go first if you want.
I don't mind. Yeah, I'll let you go first. I got some more thinking on my my list.
Okay, so the first one that came to mind was Louisville Clemson, the rematch from last year in Death Valley. This time Clemson comes to Louisville. Miami Clemson. I think that's going to be another headline. Miami Louisville. I think that might be another premier headline game within the ACC. Could decide who's playing in Charlotte for the championship. Obviously, Oklahoma, Texas. Depending on what Oklahoma is, that's a fun rivalry game. The Red River Showdown. I'm looking forward to that one. Always am. They seem to always deliver a great game, even if one team is better than the other. Of course, Bama LSU. That seems to be one of the best games of the year for the last couple years since Joe Burrow, the 2-point conversion, fall in, Jalen Milroe run. Those are always fun. Tennessee, Florida. Can Tennessee go to Gainesville and finally put the demons to bed, so to speak? Indiana, Iowa, I think could be a really interesting game just for the simple fact of, is Indiana legit when they play a great defense in Iowa? The veteran against an upstart in Kirk Cignetti. Of course, Ohio State, Washington, even though it's in, still think it could be, no, it's Washington. I think that's in Washington. Yeah, that's in Washington. Be fun. Husky Stadium at night gets rocking. And especially if that game's at night, that could be a game Ohio State loses. There's a whole lot of games that you could pick from. Oh, and North Carolina, Clemson. Let's not forget about that one. Dabo versus Bill Belichick. Looking forward to it. There's quite a few that you could choose from. But Jeffrey, how about you?
Yeah, I agree that there's a lot to pick from, and it's really hard to kind of put together a definitive honorable mentions list because you can just keep going. You can kind of go down the rabbit hole and end up, picking like BYU Colorado. It's like way down the line. BYU Utah, as Jackson mentioned, a UNC Clemson, those type games are way out there.
Mm-hmm.
Just you can kind of keep extending an honorable mentions list for as long as you want. I don't really know how to definitively end my honorable mentions list. I will say that I've got 3 Indiana games on that list. I mean, obviously, it's a little, kind of fair why, but I think Indiana, Oregon, Indiana, Penn State, and Illinois, Indiana should all be honorable mentions. Definitely could have been top 10 a couple of those games, but it's I guess fair why they weren't because a lot of people think Indiana is going to regress and not be as good this year, but I would have put him. I would have put at least Indiana, Oregon in the top 10. But for Indiana, Penn State, if rules, why that game's not there. But I think Indiana definitely, as long as they're at least a 9-3 type of team, I think that their games are going to matter to the point of other than being top 10 relevant. Absolutely agree with Alabama. Tennessee. I feel like that game, if Nico was still there, most people probably would have had that game in the top 10, including us. But because of Nico going to UCLA, it kind of is what it is. I mean, honestly, because of the fact that when you're that big name, that big, brand appeal player, and with him not being there, it just kind of takes the luster off the game. Plus, the games at Alabama, I feel like games like that tend to be a little bit more hyped up if they're road games, like if it's Alabama going to Zealand. So, that's why that game's kind of probably not a top 10 game. Alabama at South Carolina, I really believe that one could be a top 10 because of the fact it's on the road. Lenore Sellers is getting hyped up as a potential Heisman candidate. That's going to be a really good game, regardless of whether South Carolina is a legit playoff contender or not. So, looking for that game, I'm with Jackson. I don't really think Bama LSU should be anywhere close. It's way down there. LSU got smoked last year. They have a lot to prove. I would put a game like Georgia Tennessee above Alabama LSU this season, probably. OU Texas is fringe. But, that's about it. There's a lot of I don't see Sellers either, Burks, as a Heisman. I'm just saying he's being hyped up as that, but definitely do not see him as a Heisman contender, like legitimate. But I think he's going to have a good year. But yeah, that's about my honorable mentions list. You can add other games. You can add, like your Miami, Florida States. Tons of SEC matchups could be there. Tons of, like Ohio State, Washington, as Austin said, that's a very underrated pick. Because Washington, being at home, it will have a shot, you would think, kind of like when they beat Michigan last year. But still, like, you can just keep going and going. That's kind of the games that I really think will be, close to the top 10, or some of those I believe could have been deserved to be in the top 10.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, too. I will say this on the LSU Alabama, not to go down the rabbit hole, I do SEC media polls just came out, and they had LSU finishing 4th. I believe they had Bama second. Who they finish? See, LSU's 4th, Bama finished 2nd or 3rd. I can't remember. But
Alabama's 3rd.
A lot of the media think. Okay, so they think Bama and LSU, according to the media polls, and once again, it's just media polls, it's preseason. They think Bama and LSU's kind of on the same level.
LSU's always I'm not trying to up by the media, kind of like Miami and Texas A&M, whether they're good or not. If they are good, then the media will just say, "Hey, that's our validation finally for ranking them high." But most of the time, those teams underperform.
Mm-hmm. That's very fair, very, very fair. But is there any other honorable mentions that we maybe forgot to mention or would like to mention before we move on to the top 10?
Clemson at Louisville is like fringe. I know you already mentioned it, but I do think that's fringe because it's at Louisville. I think the game will have a bit more hype for that reason. Whether the game's good or not, we'll see. But yeah, that's a fringe game. I think it it's definitely top 20-ish.
Texas A&M is
Mhm.
another honorable mention.
Yeah,
Like
Texas A&M. That's definitely like an OU Texas. It's a big rivalry game. It's
Mhm.
gonna get, but we don't know how
Mhm.
good A&M is gonna be. Will A&M be a legit
Mhm.
playoff
Wow.
contender? It's kind of like Bama, South
Mhm.
Carolina. It kind of hinges on if A&M and South Carolina are actually really good.
Well, before we
And
could,
then go ahead, Jackson.
I was going to say, before we get to our top 10, if you're tuning in on Only Talk Sports, and if there is 5 super chats of $5 each or more, Jeffrey will go live once more next week.
Yeah, guaranteed.
Who's it?
Absolutely guaranteed.
Who's he going
But
live with? Is he doing it solo? Is he doing it with someone else? Well, you'll know if there's $5 super chats, like 5 times or more. Tune in.
well, see, here's the thing, Jackson.
Appreciate it,
I have
Jackson.
intel on this. I have intel. So apparently, Jackson, what we're going around is the Rock are going to do a live stream together. That's what I heard. So if y'all,
Uh-oh. That Aaron was messing around with him for a little bit. He'll come back.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah, he'll be back. Absolutely, definitely. Sometimes that internet does not act right. I've had plenty a time or two, issues with that in the past. So yeah, hopefully he'll be back soon because Austin has the slides for the top 10 list, and yeah, we need the slides. So
Yeah, the internet's messing around again.
that's why we got Austin
That's
back.
the
So hopefully Jackson will get the
I hit the
belt
wrong.
out and take it out.
So I hit the wrong button. I was trying to type in. It's all. I got it. But anywho,
there you go. Yeah, before we get to our top 10, one question. Got the
here.
belt, Austin?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. So he was typing and trying to do that. I'll learn my lesson. But between me and you, Jackson, we'll leave Jeffrey out of this. But I heard The Rock might be his special guest. Is there any truth to that? If the people give money, can we make that happen?
You never know.
People.
I would say it's a long shot, but you never know.
So you heard it here first.
Crap, I think I got a little too loud for the day for a moment. It's like, oh, no disturbance report. Okay, good.
Okay, so if you give $5 super chats, Jeffrey will go live next week with The Rock himself, Dwayne Johnson, the big movie star. You heard it here first.
Yeah, definitely.
There's your incentive.
Chad, I would not count on that legitimately. Like it's going to happen, but you never know. Like let's leave it as a slight possibility. But I definitely appreciate everybody for being here wherever they're tuning in. Sports Talk Austin, Jackson Johnson, or my channel Only Talk Sports. Definitely appreciate it. And like Jackson said, definitely we'll be live next week for sure if we meet the goal. But if not, I will be live again eventually. Just we'll see when it's gonna be. Yeah, because I don't know what the future live stream schedule is looking like. Because I know after this, I don't know when we'll be doing anymore. Because I know you guys are gonna be doing y'all streams for the conference preview, kind of like me and Will did. Which me and Will finish ours up eventually. That should be a lot of fun. But that is to be determined how our live stream schedules look in Jackson, Austin, mine, like who we're doing lives with, when we're doing lives with. We'll see. It'll all work itself out. But again, guaranteed be live next week if we meet the goal. But definitely appreciate it. That's you guys being here.
Jeffrey, you know what is a guarantee in life? Is going to the desert late at night and someone getting upset. And what a perfect way to start this list, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Because the Big 12 has been known to pull off some crazy stunners. At number 10, if Jeffrey or Jackson, whoever is controlling this man trap here, would pull up our beautiful list, if he'd be so kind. Number 10, I will zoom in a second. Number 10, Iowa State at Arizona State, November 1st, week 10. Time to be determined in network. The desert gets a little scary. The defending Big 12 champs, I mean,
Oh, is
only
there
thing
some private stuff in those files or something? It's like, good grief.
But Jackson, Jeffrey, whoever would like to start this, take it away. Number 10, go.
Man, Iowa State, like death taxes and a Kurt Cincinnati question from Stephen Cherry to Jeffrey on Talk
Yeah,
Sports.
we got is Jeffrey going to Big Ten Media Days to meet Signetti. Well, I will say, Stephen Cherry, that might be in the works in the future. That will be a futures thing. As of right now, probably not. But that would be amazing to do. I would love to do that, Stephen Cherry. It'd be awesome to go to Big Ten Media Days and talk and chat it up with Kurt Signetti. That'd be fantastic. We'll have to make that happen in the future. Appreciate that, Stephen. I will say on this game, I did not have as much involvement with this list as Jackson Austin. They really compiled this list together. I did, offer some thoughts, but I didn't have as much time to put, really, like we did last time. We just debated the heck out of our list. So for me, I probably would not have had this game in the top 10. It would have been honorable mentions for sure. It would not have been in the top 10 for me. I just want to say spoiler on that, because I know the chat's probably going to disagree with this hard, and I wouldn't put it there. But to Jackson and Austin's point of having this game here, I mean, it has some merit because Arizona State was really good last year. Sam Levitt's back. A lot of people believe that they are going to be very good again this year, and tough place to play at night. Iowa State, they're not looking to be a bad team this year. They have potential. A lot of people think that Iowa State could be one of the best teams in the Big 12. But the issue with the Big 12 is that, like, the top 6 or 7 teams, you don't really know who's going to actually be good out of the Big 12. Like Kansas State, Iowa State, Arizona State, Baylor maybe. Utah could bounce back. BYU. We don't know. Like, all these teams are pretty comparable. So this could end up being the best game in the Big 12. This could be the 2 best teams in the Big 12. Or both of these teams could go 6-6, and this game won't matter at all. That's what kind of makes it tough, because that's probably where most people are looking at this game, is that we don't know how good these teams are going to be. But nonetheless, it should be a fun game that, if both teams end up being very good, which is possible, could actually end up being a top 10 quality game. It's my top 10 most impactful, but we just don't really know how good they're going to be. So,
Well, whoever wins this rematch from the Big 12 title game is getting closer to going back to the Big 12 title game. Because, I mean, we're looking at Iowa State's schedule for 2025, and it's much tougher than last year's. Arizona State, like Mississippi State, and Texas State, it looks like an easy non-con game, but believe me, it's not an easy non-con game. And then you got like the rest of the Big 12 slate before Iowa State. It looks like easy pickings. Now, Baylor, we got like Baylor, TCU to me we'll see teams for the Big 12. Utah.
They frankly all are, though. I mean, to be honest, Jackson, I think the vast majority of the Big 12 is wait and see teams, because none of these teams have top end talent. It's not the ACC where you at least have Clemson, you got Miami, you have Florida State. And then the SEC Big Ten, we already have these established programs that are elite. Bama, Georgia, Texas, LSU, whatever. Big Ten, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan. The Big 12 is almost like the ACC Coastal, to Scotty B's point right here. They haven't had a repeat champ since 2020. It's becoming the Coastal division of the ACC, where every year a different team won the thing. That's not good, folks. When every year a different team's winning it, it means there's no consistency. It means that these programs do not establish consistent success, because they really can't. Because none of these teams have the funds, the NIL. I mean, Texas Tech's getting there. They're trying. But, I mean, these other programs just can't compete on the same level as the Big Ten SEC. So that's why you see massive shifts in win-loss every year.
Here's the thing, Jeffrey. What I'll push back on you on that is that means we have parity. Means that this is a conference that we know for sure we might crown a new champion every year. And as a fan of the product, don't you want that? Because don't you get tired of seeing the same 3 teams win every time?
See, but
Like-
the thing is, Austin, I'm with you on that because
Okay.
for years that I'm sick of Bama, Georgia. I'm sick of Clemson, Alabama, that kind of stuff. Like I was sick of that. I wanted to see parity. But what I'm saying is that even though I like the parity and I want to see parity, which makes watching the Big 12 very fun, it also makes guessing which teams are going to be good is impossible. And honestly, this is the perfect point right here. Parity is another word for mediocre or mid. It means that none of the teams are consistently good. And yeah, at Steven's point, Utah is usually consistent, but it's usually a great team. They had that little stretch where they competed with USC in the Pac-12, and they were like a fringe playoff contender. Other than that, the vast majority of Utah is like Iowa, 8-4. So my point is that this game could either be the two best teams in the Big 12, and then if that's the case, then this placement here makes sense of why this game would be number 10. But both these teams go 5 and 7. That's my point. We don't know because these teams are not consistent at all. They're not consistently good. And that's why it's very tough to put Big 12 games on the list.
And here's the thing, too. When we put this together, me and Jackson tried to make sure everyone had some representation. Because honestly, if you want to put this list together, it would basically be Big Ten SEC run. And it's basically no fun to do it that way. It's basically, you'd be talking about the two powerhouses. And the thing about it, too, is, and I want to say this, is Iowa State, Arizona State both have their quarterbacks returning. Obviously, Scadabo's gone for Arizona State. Yes, that's a tough loss. But these are both
because see, they can't replace it. You see, like that's the problem. Like Alabama can replace running backs, Georgia can replace running backs in a heartbeat. Lou Scadabo, a guy that nobody wanted, by the way, a guy that none of the big programs were recruiting, and he just ended up being really good. You lose him, and it's like, yeah, this is what happens. This is why these teams are not consistently good. Iowa State does lose their top 2 wide receivers.
Yes.
Look at Ohio State. Ohio State, every single year, they lose 15 players to the draft. Georgia loses 15 players to the draft. What happens, though? Every single year, they've replaced the talent. Like Julian Sands, a freaking freshman, right? And that guy could end up being the best quarterback next year or a nobody, but we'll find out. But he has talent to be great. That's what I'm saying. These teams do replace talent to the degree that Alabama and Ohio State and these other teams do. That's why they're not consistently good. It's very simple. It's very obvious. And I know everybody in chat gets that because we're all like college football, like, buffs here. We love college football to death. We watch and analyze it to death. But for people that don't consistently watch college football, that's your explanation. The Big 12 is not some crazy thing where like, oh my gosh, it's just the magic of the Big 12. Because when Texas and Oklahoma were there, yeah, it was pretty much Texas and Oklahoma. It wasn't parity. It really wasn't. Not that consistently. They're gone now. And that's why you've got parity. Because your two brands, your two legit programs have left the conference. Because for a time, it was just Oklahoma. And before that, it was Texas. So, yeah, I mean, I love the Big 12. Watching it, it's fun seeing, all these mediocre teams battling it out who's going to win. But it's also, none of these teams are legitimately great either. So that's the thing.
And here's the thing.
But it is a perfect way to have a night.
Yes. And here's the thing, too. And the thing about this is, too, like you said, and me and Jackson thought about this, this could legitimately be the winner of this game goes to the playoffs. Because what if the Big 12 gets 2 playoff teams this year? Kind of like how the ACC did. It can happen. I mean, legitimately. And I'm not saying that to throw arguments at anybody, but no one thought the ACC was going to get 2 bids, but they got 2, SMU and Clemson. Who's to say one of these 2 teams couldn't steal a bid from somebody?
I mean,
You understand that?
It's possible. Like I said, I get it. I think the best argument in defense of this game is that both of these teams could be playoff teams. And then I think the biggest argument against this game, like I said, is the fact that both these teams could be 5 and 7. We don't know how good they're going to be. So I don't know. I mean, this comment from Dave, appreciate you being here, Dave. Big 12 is better than the ACC. I don't necessarily agree with that because I think if you're looking at it from top to bottom, I guess like consistent, like decent teams. I think you're kind of right, Dave, because when you look at your Texas Techs, they're now shilling money like A&M now, which, like Jackson mentioned earlier in chat, they're probably going to be the next underachiever. I agree with you, Jackson, on that. They probably every year they're going to be hyped up to be top 15 bid, and then they go like 7-5. But you've got Tech, you've got BYU, you've got all the Kansas State, Utah, all these consistently solid programs. But the ACC's got Clemson, Miami, Florida State. Those three programs by themselves are way better than anything the Big 12 can even dream of having anymore. The thing is, though, is that if the ACC loses those teams, then you're right. Then you're right, absolutely, that the Big 12 will be better than the ACC, because literally the entire ACC is Clemson, Miami, Florida State. And yes, programs like UNC and Louisville are good, but they're not brand teams. So that's just kind of my thoughts on that. I think I know where you're coming from. Like the Big 12 from top to bottom is probably better, because when you look at the bottom of the ACC, it's horrible.
Oh no, Austin's button messed with him, or the internet.
Either the button or his internet again. Hopefully he's able to come back soon. But like I was saying, though, I think from top to bottom, the Big 12 is possibly it's better, but I think at the top the ACC it's still better. Do you agree with that, Jackson, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think like the Big 12 this year, but where it was like last year, the two projected best teams were expected to make the Big 12 title, right? But they wound up having losing seasons. And like the best thing out of like Oklahoma State was beating Arkansas. That was it. That was like the only.
You just said my point though, Jackson, because you just said that the two teams last year that were expected to make the Big 12 title game finished with losing records, and that's what I just said about this game. Iowa State and Arizona State could both finish 5-7, and no one would blink an eye. That's the problem with putting that game in the top 10, because people are expecting the game to be good, and the game could be great. It could be. Both teams could be 10-1. Or or one loss, and they're like, whoever wins makes the playoffs, whoever loses doesn't. But the problem is both teams could go 5-7 as well.
I feel like BYU is going to be going really down this year. But
yeah, because they lost Jake Retzloff because of that allegation thing. I mean, and he was, I wouldn't say their entire team, but he was about it.
Yeah, and one thing to remember at BYU, if you're accused of something like that, you're out automatically. And plus, if you're having premarital messing around, because I won't say the 3-letter word on air, because there's some kids might be sneaking in watching this. It's like premarital loving. So
Jackson keeping it PG. Jackson keeping it PG.
Yeah, because like there's kids.
I think the problem is the fact that it's like you've got a guy playing for a school that is probably a school in the country that doesn't that cares about that thing, that issue, I guess, because I mean you've got like Carson Beck in the Miami girl thing, and it's like, all right, and that's like whatever, even though they're no longer an item. But the thing is or if they ever were, I don't freaking know. But you get my point though, right? Like other universities, they have major like issues with players doing just crazy relationship junk, but it doesn't matter because it's their private life. But BYU's like the only school where that matters. So it's like, why would he play for BYU knowing that? I don't get, honestly. I mean, because again, he can play for any other school. I mean, because like now, people are now like talking about that guy like he's the worst individual on planet Earth, and it's like if he was at any other school right now, he wouldn't even be talked about at all. I'm just saying, like I'm not trying to just blow over the situation, but I'm just saying that if he was at Ohio State or Alabama, no one would even be talking about this guy.
I got a feeling if you like make your crush blush anytime they see you at like BYU, they're gonna be like, "Oh, we saw you blushing over a guy. Oh, we saw you blushing Never girl. Out. Just kidding. Just kidding. No worries. Just
Oh my
kind of
goodness.
making fun. Don't
So
worry. I made fun of my. Don't worry. I made fun of my own. Relax.
okay.
I made
See Jackson, he's got a dirty, dirty mind. See, we can't trust him. Me and Jeffrey, we're compadre. We're good holy people. Jackson's the dirty minded one. But
Hey, he's not. He's nowhere near as dirty as Caden the man, who is yet to show himself tonight. We'll see if he arrives later on in the show.
but
I think he's hanging out at Hooters tonight. So.
Yeah.
oh
You know,
Lord.
you gotta do what you gotta do, man. He's not gonna get in trouble like Retzloff, I don't think, as long as he doesn't do anything too crazy.
So with that,
No, he's eating that Longhorn dinner, but oh man, let's get the number 9.
yes, number 9, LSU at Ole Miss, September 27th, week 5, time to be determined, and TV time to be determined as well. And September 27th, it's a packed weekend. You've got a lot of great games, but the reason why this one made the list is because LSU has not been able to win in Oxford since 2019. Is this the year that they break that curse? And what makes this so important is this is make or break for both of these teams in a lot of ways, because if LSU wins, especially if they've already got that loss to Clemson on their record, this game right here could be do or die for them. This could be it. And for Ole Miss, once again they load up on the easy stuff, the easy cupcakes. They're eating sugar before they have their main meal. Mom would be so disappointed in Ole Miss. But anywho, this is their first real, gritty, tough test. They're playing an LSU team who we all think of, at least I think of very highly. If nothing else, you respect them. So for me and Jackson, and I think Jeffrey will get behind this, this is number 9. What do you two think?
Well, I mean, it is the Magnolia Bowl, and plus, the winner of that game is likely to finish in the top 4 of the SEC. I'm not saying they're automatically going to. I'm saying it's more likely to. I mean, Ole Miss does have an easy slate, but however, this year they got 2 conference games and 1 really hard Group of 5 non-con game before they play LSU. Now, Georgia State, the season opener, they always give SEC teams a dogfight. I don't know why, but they do. But anyway, Ole Miss this year, they've got an easier slate than LSU to start off before they play one another. But the winner of this game is going to be in the top 4, or most likely in it. We're looking at the last time LSU beat Ole Miss at Ole Miss was the 2019 season. So that was the last time it happened. Since then, it's just been the winner of this game has been the home team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, I think that this was a fringe top 10 game.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that it could have been outside the list or barely in. So I mean, number 9 is fair because 9 is it's kind of like when I had Signetti at 9, as on my head coaching list. It's not at the top of the list. Like the back end of the list, you can have some play with it. Like we could have put Indiana, Oregon here, and I don't think anyone really would have cared. Or we could have put Alabama, South Carolina, or something. I don't think anybody really would have cared. Same thing with this game. They're all pretty comparable. I'm not going to lie. You really could just kind of interchange these type of games.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, to Jackson's point, if you're looking at the plus sides here, these 2 teams could be playoff contenders. These 2 teams, whatever. But at the same time, Ole Miss lost a lot. They might be in 7-5 teams this year. And LSU could underperform like they do every year again. And if they do, then this game definitely is in the top 10 game. But we don't know that because maybe this is the year. It's just one of those type of games where I see about 5 other games you could have put here. So, like I said, would I've put this here? Probably not.
Well, here's the thing.
I would have probably tried to talk y'all out of this and put it at 11. But, I understand why it's here. It's not a bad game at all. It's just I don't know if either team's going to be champion, playoff contenders or conference championship contenders. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. LSU, Ole Miss, neither team made the playoffs. Indiana, Oregon, both teams made the playoff. I know he's a Big Ten guy. But like that game to me is bigger headlines than this.
So,
But that's just my opinion.
so kind of explain it. And Jackson won't speak for him, but we kind of think we were the thinking Indiana might take a step back. And
yeah, like I said, that's why I was not majorly involved with this list. But again, it's okay. I'm just pulling it out because I would have been debating hard for that.
See, here's the thing, and we had outside interferences, but it's all good. The thing about this too was it's a week 5 game, so it's not like Iowa State, Arizona State, Jeffrey. You do at least have to give it that latitude. At least it's a week 5 game. We're going to find out what both these teams are before we get too deep into it, so to speak. So the thing about this is you could kind of give it a pass for that because it's week 5. It's early on. And I know, Jeffrey, your theory of teams get better as we move on. But the good thing about this is it's week 5. So therefore, you could kind of get a grip of, okay, LSU lost to Clemson, but they're still really good. They're beating up on the people they should. Or maybe Ole Miss won a squeaker against Kentucky. But they beat LSU in Oxford. It's kind of one of them. You kind of see where we went through on that, Jeffrey. How me and Jackson kind of maybe processed that.
I mean, again, I get it. Like, I understand it. You know, I think that the problem, again, like, and that's why when you do lists like this, it's all speculation. Because again, we could go back, and Iowa State and Arizona State could both be 5-7. And if that's the case, then this game shouldn't have been anywhere near the list. But they both could be good.
That's the thing with Indy.
As Jackson pointed out when you left for a minute, both Big 12 preseason contenders or like the two teams that people were projecting to make the Big 12 title game last year both finished under 500 last year.
Mm-hmm.
Utah was up there. They sucked. Oklahoma State was toward the top. They sucked. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's like you look at Iowa State, Arizona State, that game could be nowhere near, a top 10 game by the end. But it could be. LSU, Ole Miss. Ole Miss is losing a lot.
Yes, they are.
Lot, and I don't trust that they're going to be as good because as great of a job as Lane Kiffin has done at Ole Miss, getting talent and bringing talent in and trying to get them to the level of an Alabama or Georgia where they reload every year, I still don't believe that they're there. I don't think that they are at that point where they can reload every year and be as good every year. And I don't think Indiana can do that either. The only reason I think Indiana won't take too big of a step back is because Indiana's returning most of their top players. Because even Steven, I saw his post that he did on my X account. Appreciate it, Steven. But he said that he was keeping receipts. But he said that Indiana has 3 players at the top 10 or top 20 on the defensive list. Aiden Fisher, D'Angelo Pons, Mikael Kamara. And Ohio State only has 2. So he's like, oh, Indiana's got more players on the list than Ohio State does. Well, it's because Indiana's returning their great players. Ole Miss is losing a lot. So I just don't know how good they're going to be.
And see, here's the thing. It goes back to, once again, Jeffrey, with Indiana and this, and then, we're not trying to turn this into the Indiana show, and then Jackson's going to have to fine us a hefty amount of money. Can't afford that. The problem is we can't project anybody. That's the thing. Like, LSU could win the whole thing this year. And I'm not doing it. I know I joke with you all, but LSU could win the whole thing this year. They could be the best team in college football for all we know. Like,
if Brian Kelly wasn't their head coach, then that would actually be a possibility.
No, I'm just saying as an example.
Like, talent-wise, yes, but they're not getting anywhere close to sniffing it.
Jeffrey.
It's just not going to happen with Brian Kelly.
I was using that as an example.
Well, I know you were. I'm just saying, I'm just responding to it as, because here's the thing. Sometimes chat, when you say something like that, see, you were saying it just as an example, but chat thinks you're saying it as the way the truth in life. You know what I'm saying? Like it's 100% fact. That's what I'm saying. I'm basically just letting the chat know that, like, yeah, that's very, very, very unlikely. Probably not going to happen, but I get your point. Go ahead.
Okay. And that's what makes these so hard. And you'll see as we go through this, Jackson had another game he wanted. I will take responsibility for talking him off the ledge on it, because we've already got a team on here 3 times. We broke the golden rule, but we kind of had to because of the way everything. when it broke, and Jason O says LSU can win the whole thing. Okay, this isn't a football show. Maybe it's a ranking. The chicken in cafeteria.
Well, Jason, we love getting your
Yeah,
comments.
yeah, I
Man.
did see that you broke the list. I'm looking at the list now privately here. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, whatever. That doesn't matter. I mean, it's fair, I guess. But yeah, I mean, because realistically, if we had done that, we could have put A&M Notre Dame in the top 10 of the last list, because I mean that could have been
But
the non-conference, but it's whatever. It's cool.
but are we ready to move on to number 8? Or Jackson, do you have something you want to add?
I made my
let's
point. I don't think this
let's
is a top
get
10 game.
I believe that the next game we've got on the list is the one we are 33 minutes away. Well, 30 minutes away from it being 33 days till the day of, and it's the Kansas State Iowa State matchup in Ireland, Armageddon, between the Cyclones and the Wildcats.
Listen, Jackson, don't make me work out my EVP hat again. Jackson, I won't fire you, but I will suspend you heftily for that. But I'll let you slide this time. Number 8, Kansas State at Iowa State, Dublin, Ireland, August 23rd, week 0, noon on ESPN. Okay, I feel better now. Who would like to start on this one?
I think the only reason the game's on the list is because it's in week 0. So it's kind of more of a hype thing for college football. Plus, Big 12 representation, which, it's fair, I guess. Even though the Big 12, if you wanted to be good, you should have kept Texas and Oklahoma, somehow. But, I guess we can't do that in this new age of college football. So, now you're stuck with a bunch of mediocre teams. I mean, I feel like this game's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun game. I think that, obviously that the double Ireland thing, a lot of people like these games. You've had a lot like the Notre Dame Navies in Ireland. You had that Northwestern game. I forgot who they were playing that year, but Northwestern was playing somebody in Ireland. Nebraska. That home. Yeah, that was the Scott Frost. I destroyed my Nebraska coaching career game because he did the onside kick up 10. That's it. I remember that. That was a fun game. But those games are fun. Obviously, Dublin, Ireland, it's cool. It's week 0. People are going to be hyped for this game just because it's the return of football and it's a legitimate game. It's not your Stanford, Hawaii's, but at the same time, I feel like if this was like a week 12 game, it would not be on the list.
Well, and the thing about it, too, is Kansas State is a consistently good to great program. And I don't think that's a stretch of me saying that. Kansas State consistently every year goes 8-4, 9-3. Sometimes they go 10-2. They've had a couple 11-win seasons. Chris Kleiman took over Bill Snyder. Bill Snyder left Kansas State, and Chris Kleiman has picked back up right where he's left off. And what made us decide to put this game on this list is Kansas State is due for a Big 12 title appearance. It's been almost 4 years since they've made one, and that was the last one they won against TCU. And the thing about it, too, is Kansas State, to me, they have a potential. If they are healthy and Avery Johnson is the quarterback we know, they could be a team that could honestly maybe win a playoff game like TCU did. And I know some people may say that's stretching it, that was a special team, but Kansas State, I think, is going to have a really great football team this year. And Iowa State, and listen, you talk about Dublin, Jeffrey. Whoever thought Georgia Tech would have beat Florida State, the team that went unbeaten and won the ACC last year? Nobody did. Nobody picked Georgia Tech to win that game. I know I didn't. Jeffrey, I don't believe you did. Jackson didn't. Nobody believed in them, but they won. And the winner of this game here could go a long way in submitting themselves as the Big 12's best, so to speak.
I mean, I guess most people pick Florida State, yeah, but at the same time, I don't think people thought that there was no chance that Georgia Tech would win either. Because, I mean, obviously a lot of people were lower on Florida State with DJU. They thought, like me and most people, that they were going to be an 8-4 type of team. So yeah, Georgia Tech. People thought they had a shot. I think FSU is favored by 10. I know. Again, I know what you're saying. I'm just pointing out that kind of to Mark Rogers' point about the nobody believed in them thing. I don't really necessarily agree with that. I don't think that nobody believed in them. I think some people picked them, and I think even people that picked Florida State said, "Hey, Georgia Tech will have a shot here." I think I had Florida State winning by like 4. I guess that's like a close game, and I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I picked Florida State. I'm not gonna like, oh yeah, I picked Georgia Tech. No, I think I picked Florida State, but I can't remember. It was a year ago. But no, Georgia Tech wasn't like that under the radar. You had Haynes King back. People thought they were going to be quality enough. But again, I get your point. Again, the issue with this game for me is the fact that it's the week 0 Dublin Ireland game. That's why it's probably for a lot of people fringe top 10, because on paper I don't feel this is a top 10 game. I mean, when one of your best arguments is that Kansas State is due for a Big 12 title, that doesn't necessarily mean that this game should be a top 10 game. I think the game could be great, and maybe like the other game, maybe like Iowa State, Arizona State, maybe both of these teams end up making the Big 12 title game. In this game, these are the 2 best teams in the conference, but I have no idea who's going to win the Big 12. No,
I don't either.
And that's why I think putting either of these games on here is a total guess. Like I said, I would have been arguing for them to be off the list. Y'all would have ended up talking me into keeping one of them probably because of Big 12 representation. And if I had to pick between the 2, I probably would have kept this game because of the Dublin Ireland thing, week 0, all that stuff. But realistically, by the end of the season, I don't think either of these 2 games are going to be top 10. But that's just my opinion.
And that's a fair opinion to have too, Jeffrey. And the thing about it too is when you look at it, yes, on paper, you may disagree and say these aren't going to matter. But here's the thing, Jeffrey. We may look back at this. I'm going to push back a little bit. We may look back at this and we may say we did a pretty nice job at picking this game. And I know Stephen Cherry asked have I been drinking. No, Stephen Cherry. I'm straight edge. I don't drink. And Jackson, here's the thing, Jackson. Maybe you can help me out. What did you see in this game? Because you were a big advocate for it. Like what made you see in it? Maybe we can convince
whoever wins this game is going to create some momentum for the rest of 2025. That's what I see. I mean,
I think Jackson's basically in agreement with me that this game's appeal is that it's week 0, though. And like he said, whoever wins, it creates momentum. Because like, if this was a week 10 game, no one would care.
No.
Plus, I feel like Avery Johnson has been one of the biggest disappointments in college football. Honestly, I mean, I think he still has potential to be what he was projected out of high school and in that bowl game 2 years ago where he was really good, but the guy's not actually been all that good. Really. He was not great last year. He had multiple games. I crap on Nussmeier for the mid games that he's had, and everybody's like, "Oh, Jeffrey, you're too hard on Nussmeier." Well, if you think I've been hard on Nussmeier, Avery Johnson has not been good. He flat out is not good. I thought he was going to be a lot better than what he's done, and honestly, I'm intrigued to watch this game because I want to see how much he's improved. I'm more intrigued in seeing him than Rocco Beck because I think Rocco Beck, he is what he is. He's one of those he is what he is type of players. He plays hard. He's underrated. He's not going to be a top NFL guy. But Avery Johnson's got that potential. He still kind of is a headline name, but he's starting to succeed. Just like Nico transferring to UCLA could end up breaking his career. This season is going to break Avery Johnson or make his career because he really disappointed last year. He did not improve from the previous season. Before that, I really want to see if Avery Johnson improves and can lead Kansas State to a Big 12 title because if he does, that would really, really boost him up again in the list of quarterbacks.
But number 7.
And I agree with Bean that Iowa State being on the list twice, but Indiana not being on the list at all is funny. I do.
Listen, guys. Listen.
I do. I think it's funny.
Jackson, me and Jackson were up against it here, okay? I
can't answer this question, Jackson, because I didn't really put together this list, so I can't answer this. I'll let Austin explain this question.
Okay. So, being asked is the list about most entertaining games and the most impactful games that determine conference race. A little bit of both, Jason O. Me and Jackson tried to meet in the middle because Jackson had a lot. He wanted to put a lot of SEC games on here, but I tried to kind of talk him down to it a little bit, and I kind of wanted to put more ACC games on here. Funny enough, because obviously Jackson's SEC country, I'm ACC country, but we tried to meet in the middle somewhere. Of okay, what's games that are going to be impactful to the conference, most entertaining, what's going to draw ratings, what are people going to care about? And believe it or not, so far these games people are going to care about, believe it or not, even if it's in their own fan base. But as you see, when we go up the list, we've got a lot bigger and better games. So you kind of have to, it's kind of like watching a movie. The first act might be bad, but once you see our top 5, you're kind of be like, okay, this list ain't half bad. But number 7, Florida at Georgia in Jacksonville, November 1st, week 10, 3:30 p.m. on ABC, also known as AKA the world's largest cocktail party. And this
There
is
you
a
go.
game. This
World's
is the game.
largest ever cocktail.
This is the game Jackson really wanted. And Jackson, I'll let you go first on this one. Explain to the people why you wanted this game.
Well, because this year it looks like it could be the year that Florida is at losing streak to Georgia. And last season, when we saw it live and on ABC, which we almost saw Florida upset Georgia. Well, it would have happened. Huh?
But injury.
Yep. DJ Lagway getting hurt. That's what killed the Gators right there. And when Lagway took over as starting QB, momentum changed in a great way for the Florida Gators. Oh yeah.
Well, that's what we tried to do. We're not saying this list is going to be perfect in any way, Jason. We're just trying to predict out the future. What me and Jackson, and ultimately, well, this is me and Jackson. We'll take full credit for this. What we thought would mean the most towards the year. We could be completely wrong, and Alabama LSU could be for who goes to the SEC title game, for all we know.
The funny thing about it is I probably wouldn't have put any of these games on my list. Probably. Especially if we were following the rule of only 2 times a team can be on the list. Because obviously Georgia's on the list multiple times. I think that if you break the rule, then I would have this game probably at like 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Because, realistically, the only reason that this game is even on the list and why Jackson probably lobbied for it, and I understand why he did, is because Florida. It's all about Florida because Georgia's been great every year. Florida sucked for the last 5 years. So right now, Florida's finally getting relevant again. They have a star quarterback in Lagway. So that's why this game reappears as a relevant game. Because lately, Florida-Georgia's not been relevant because Florida has been bad. Last year, even though Georgia fans will never admit it, and I don't care if they do or not, but it is fact, Florida would have won the game if Lagway didn't get hurt. But he got hurt because that's just the way it is. Football, things don't always go your way. If you're a Florida fan, it just had to be gut-wrenching to watch him go down. And then you're playing a third-string guy, and they still almost won the game. Like, honestly, that should make Georgia fans sick that they almost lost that game playing against a third-string quarterback. That's how not great Georgia was last year. That's why Notre Dame won the game.
Georgia was on upset alert against
Georgia was not
State.
very good last year. They have a lot of improving to do this season. Notre Dame was a really good team last year, but Notre Dame easily beat Georgia. And under normal circumstances, that would have not have occurred. And yes, I think Notre Dame beat Georgia with Carson Beck.
Like, that's so bad.
That matters. Carson Beck was not all that good. So, in my opinion, like, this game is all about Florida. If Florida shows up and does what they were doing last year, then guess what? Florida will win this game. But something tells me that even if Lagway's healthy the whole game, Florida's not going to do what they did last year. Because, see, Florida caught Georgia off guard last year. All right. And Georgia didn't know what to do. They were scrambling. Now, if Florida's ranked in this game and they're like undefeated or like one loss, Georgia's going to show up. Georgia's going to play hard, and it's going to be much tougher for Florida to win this game. And that's what sucks. Like Florida had that edge last year. They had that surprise of how good that they actually were with Lagway, that they were destroying Georgia. But this year, they're not going to catch Georgia off guard. So that really, to me, does not give Florida good odds. But I still think it's going to be a good game.
Mm-hmm. And the thing, too, is about this for me, and Jackson kind of talked me through it, but the tradition and history of it as well. Jackson pointed out to me, he said, these are typically really good games. And I could see your point, Jeffrey, this being more Florida's game. Florida's got to have a game than Georgia's. But here's the thing, though. If you think about it, Georgia's schedule is not exactly in their favor. So if they come in with this with a loss, this game could mean everything for them, too. If they lose to Bama or slip up somewhere else, which I highly doubt it, before they get to Florida, this could be the game for Georgia. Georgia could have a lot riding on this, too. And that's what Jackson pointed out to me. And I'll give him all credit for this because I wasn't thinking. But he said if Bama comes in with – I mean, not Bama, wrong team. If Georgia comes in with one loss and Florida comes in with one loss, then you've got cinema on the TV, so to speak.
If I agree with that, Austin, absolutely, I agree with that. What I meant by that, though, about this being about Florida is I'm saying that this game wouldn't have been on the list if Florida was bad.
Yes, I agree.
Projected to be bad again. You know what I'm saying? Because we all remember the end of the Dan Mullen era. You know what I'm saying? Early Billy Napier. It was bad. It was rough. It was ugly.
Yes.
We're just not good for Florida for a couple years there. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if Florida was that Florida, then this game would not be there. The reason the game is here is because Florida has improved. And Florida now is seen as a legitimate threat to Georgia, even though, again, they should have won the game last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a shame because, like I said, I really feel that Florida is going to be better this year. But then probably Florida could be better this year and lose this game by 17. Instead, teams like Georgia need to be caught off guard. And that's what worries me about Georgia Tech and Florida. Both Georgia Tech and Florida beat Georgia last year. But they didn't. And since Georgia won those games, and now that Kirby is telling his players, watch out for that Florida game. Watch out for that Georgia Tech game. They almost beat us last year. Probably should have beat us last year. And that's the thing. This year, Florida and Georgia Tech, it's not going to catch Georgia by surprise like it did last year. That's my opinion on those games. And that's what that these games might not even be good.
Yes.
You see, people don't understand. Like I said, that results do not always indicate whether a team is better or not. Florida could lose this game this year to Georgia by 20, but Florida could still be a better team than last year's version of Florida. You know what I'm saying? That's why, like, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Indiana could go 8-4 this year, but be a better team than last year. Why? Because Indiana's got a harder schedule this year. It's just interesting to me. These arguments is why we even saw this argument here. Someone said it earlier in chat, Jason, for Rutgers. Yeah, Rutgers should be a little better, but the record might not show it. Why? Because Rutgers had an easier schedule last year that they blew because they lost all those games they could have won. They could have had an epic year. They could have went like 10-2 like Indiana, had a great season, but they choked games away. But it was an easy schedule. So schedules indicate team record does not always determine whether they're better or not, because you can be better with a worse record, and also catching teams by surprise. It's harder to do that if you're good.
See, and here's the thing, Jeffrey. I'm not disagreeing with you. This game is more about Florida than it is Georgia. You're absolutely right. I want you to understand. I'm not disagreeing with you with that. But we also have to look at it from both perspectives when putting this together. I will say, if Florida loses, it's just going to be, I agree, it'll be another Florida loss. What's new? But think about what comes back on this the other side. If Florida beats Georgia, then Florida's no longer, they will be taken seriously. The SEC will be like, crap, maybe Florida is back. Maybe this is it. Maybe Billy Napier is the guy after all. So I'm in agreement with you. This is a make or break more for Florida than Georgia. This is more important on their end. It's like 80-20 Florida. That's why this game's on this list. I don't disagree with you. Would you say that ratio is fair? 80-20
Absolutely.
Florida?
I don't disagree with that. No.
Because it could have significance for Georgia. It very well could if they lose to Bama. Now, if they beat Bama, then Georgia could be riding the high coming in. But are we ready for number 6? And this is a personal favorite.
Yes,
of mine.
we are. I just wonder if Sean Madonna's going to call that game like he did last year for the conference title game.
Number 6, Clemson at SMU, October 18th, Week 8. TBD, time to be determined, television to be determined. This is the ACC championship game rematch, and quite possibly the two best teams in the ACC today. And that hurts because of what I'm wearing now. I love Louisville, but let's be honest. Until someone proves me otherwise, these are the two best going right now. And I see B-Beam saying SMU WTF. Listen, B-Beam, we needed some ACC representation. I tried to get
I'm going to answer the chat for them, for the detractors of this game, including Steven. Yeah, I would not have had this game on the list.
Burks,
but,
me and Jackson.
I mean,
go ahead, Jeffrey.
I'm just saying for the people in chat, because I guess I'm their wingman right now. I'm on their side, you know. So I gotta give them what they want, right? The explanation here. Yeah, I mean, Austin's only legitimate argument is that this is the rematch. But yeah, this is not a top 10 game because I mean SMU, we saw what they were. We saw what they were, and honestly, I mean that ACC game, Clemson should have won that game. They should have won that game by a lot more than they did. You know what I'm saying? Like they should have beat them by like 30. Clemson just, I don't know, man. Like ever since the heyday of Dabo, they just have not, they have not been as good. They've just been going downhill. They're starting to rise again, and we saw glimpses last year. But that SMU game was not Clemson's finest hour. That should have not been a close game. Kevin Jennings' heroics late and all that. I mean, I'm just saying, man. Like, I just don't agree that SMU's that great. Because we saw SMU, they had like an 8 turnover game against Duke, and they won. But they turned the ball over times to Duke. Like, they had multiple bad games last year. And I just don't think they're that great. I think the money, I feel like the money that is being filtered to these Texas programs is giving Texas Tech and SMU way too much hype. You know what I'm saying? Like because so much money is being filtered to these programs, not because they legitimately deserve hype. I mean, SMU deserves, I guess, a bit more than Tech because SMU has won games, but I mean, they haven't really beaten anybody significant. So I don't know. I mean, plus, I think this game's actually in Clemson. I could be wrong, but I think this game's actually in Clemson.
It's at
kind
Clemson.
of lessens the game even more for me because I just have a hard time seeing SMU going to Death Valley and winning that game. I don't know. I honestly, for Devil's Advocate, as Austin would coin, as one of his favorite phrases, like Jackson baby out with the bathwater. I would say that Clemson at Louisville, honestly could be like here instead of this game. If you really wanted ACC representation, I mean, I'm giving that to you. I really think that game could have been like number 9 or number 10 instead of this game. I could be wrong. Like you said, all this is projection. Maybe SMU is way better than Louisville. Maybe SMU is legitimately the second best team in the ACC, and this game won. But I would have, if we're going to put an ACC game, I would have put Miami versus somebody or Clemson Louisville instead of this.
So
I feel like SMU with Brett Lashley, as long as he's there, I feel like it's got the similar vibes to when Gary Patterson was at TCU, especially in the years where they were in the Mountain West, where they were just having 10-win, 11-win seasons. I think you're going to see a lot like that with Brett Lashley and SMU. especially when we're looking at SMU's schedule before they go to Clemson. I mean, like Syracuse, I think that's going to be a tight one, but I think Syracuse is going to be so worn down by their tough start with Clemson and
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee that they may be a little bit worn out when they play SMU.
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking at SMU's schedule. Yeah, they're playing Baylor after Baylor plays Auburn in week 1. So we don't know which version of Baylor we're going to get. And,
That's the thing.
we're going to see
I mean,
TCU.
we have no idea what these teams are going to be. Like you just
And
said,
see,
will Baylor be good? And if Baylor's good, they could beat Auburn and
so
SMU, but they could lose. But you just don't know.
so hold on, Jackson. I'm gonna flip this on its head here because Jeffrey and Steven, who are both good guys, but you want to use the argument for Indiana, Oregon. Would you say they both were playoff teams? So what do we call SMU Clemson, Jeffrey? They both made
Yeah,
the
but we
playoffs.
put this game at 6, and Indiana, Oregon didn't make. Well, y'all put SMU, Clemson at 6, and Indiana, Oregon didn't make the list at all.
I feel like Oregon is just going to whip Indiana off the field
See?
when they play each other.
I don't agree with that.
You don't think so?
I mean, Dante Moore is not Dylan Gabriel or Bo Nix. Not yet. I mean, he's being good. He's not going to be good immediately. So I don't agree with that, but
Because
it could be a blowout for all we know. But I mean, this game could be a blowout. I mean, honestly, chat, what game do you think has better odds of being a blowout? SMU getting blown out by Clemson or Indiana getting blown out by Oregon? I honestly would. I'd pick get blown out more.
Because here's the thing.
Jason's my biggest Indiana detractor. He of course he's gonna say that.
See, here's the thing. Here's the thing, and we saw SMU Clemson, and that was a thrilling game. And I know what you said, Jeffrey. That shouldn't have been a thrilling game. And listen, I'm not going to take any of that away from you. And see, and people, Oregon will smash
those two guys, Austin, are the biggest Indiana detractors. Dude.
You asked the chat.
I don't really take what they say about Indiana that seriously. I love Jason and Bean. They're great. They're awesome guys. Appreciate you for being in the chat most time we go live. Love you guys to death. But if you're going off those two guys' opinion, then yeah, of course your argument's going to be right because they.
Well, here's the thing.
I just don't think Indiana's going to get destroyed.
And here's the thing too, Jeffrey, and I want to say this too. The game's at Clemson, right? Louisville went into Clemson last year and won by double digits. And we're not a brand blue blood team. And I'm not trying to toot our own horn here, but by no means are we supposed to go into Clemson and beat that team. We ain't never beaten Clemson until last year.
But nobody thought Indiana was going to be good last year either. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
they're basically returning every single significant player from last year, except their quarterback, and they basically replaced him with a better player. And they lost one good linebacker. Every other player, their best receivers are back. Their best O linemen are back. They actually got a couple of solid O linemen in the portal. All the defensive stars are back. Their kicker, their punter's back. I really just don't see the hate from Indiana taking this massive step back. I think the only way that they take a massive step back, losing 4 games or so, is because the schedule's harder. But I think they're going to be competitive in those type of games. I mean, do we really believe Indiana beat Michigan last year? Do we really believe that Illinois, Iowa, those type of programs, the Wisconsins are going to be better than Michigan last year? And the only true loss people are saying are Oregon and Penn State for Indiana, right? In those games, Penn State might be the best team in the country next year, according to everybody, but I don't agree with that. But that's probably their toughest opponent. Oregon could take a big step back next year. We don't know how good Oregon's going to be.
Well, in the AC,
you just say that about tons of teams, Bean. I mean, I'm just saying, Indiana didn't have the hard schedule, but neither did Notre Dame.
Well, in the ACC as a whole, besides Clemson, and it just feels like a big unknown. Like
Mhm.
it's like, what are we getting from Florida State this year? What version are we getting? All we're hearing about with North Carolina is Bill Belichick this, Bill Belichick that, but we've not heard a lot about their roster and what it looks like. But we'll know
Mhm.
more about North
Go ahead,
Carolina.
Jackson. Sorry.
Yeah, it's like we haven't heard a lot about North Carolina's roster. We've heard more about Belichick and Jordan, but we haven't heard a lot about the roster. It's like, well, and it's like we'll know more about what to expect from everyone in the ACC when it gets to media days this week for the ACC.
Yeah,
Because it's
Georgia
same week
fans,
as the Big.
Notre Dame did not play a real team when they played Georgia, by the way. Just letting chat know that it's not a real team. So sorry. And Penn State is not real. They're fake team. Franklin is fake. So
Yeah.
just pointing out Bean's comment there. That Notre Dame they didn't play nobody. They played
So,
State, Georgia, nothing. Absolutely nothing.
so here's the thing. I want to say this. This number 5 coming up. This potential warning is going to be advised because when you all see number 5, you are going to blow your tops. And I want you, and I'm going to say this now. Leave Jeffrey out of this one. This is mine and Jackson's own
Yeah,
doing.
and I'm gonna completely ravage this when it gets to me, but I will let you guys explain yours first because I'm gonna be a while. So
Okay, so number 5, we've got the game, Ohio State at Michigan, November 29th, week 14, rivalry week, noon on Fox. And see, the thing about it is the 4 games ahead of it, me and Jackson, we actually did think about it. We did have a serious conversation about it. We did not just willy-nilly put this together. And I know you all may think we're not very smart for this, but I promise you, me and Jackson did our due diligence. We looked over everything. Me and Jackson were up to almost 3 in the morning talking about this again. So we did our due diligence. Me and Jackson felt the 4 games ahead of this had more importance and had a little more luster behind it because Ohio State. Go ahead, Jackson. Go ahead.
Yeah, Austin, I debated on it. Like I kind of wanted to put it in the top 2, but there are other games that you'll see in the top 2, top 3 instead of
Yes.
Ohio State, Michigan.
So, Jeffrey, I see you chomping at the bit. Go ahead, destroy it.
okay, I mean this game absolutely should be higher than number 5. Like even if Michigan is not a playoff team, which I guess is your argument for why it's at 5. Probably it's like, oh well, Michigan might not be a playoff team again. I mean, because honestly, using that logic, it's like, where's Bama, Auburn? But it's because Auburn's been so trash. It's kind of like Florida and Georgia, why that hasn't been on the list lately. And Florida, finally is getting better. So that's why, they have that we have that game on the list, but y'all do specifically. But I would have put it there as well if I broke the rule too, but I wouldn't have had it on the list if not breaking the rule. But my point on this game is the fact that, all right, Michigan is 2 years removed from a title. So it's not like they've fallen off the edge of the earth like Auburn or Florida for a while. Like Michigan has a 3-game winning streak versus the Buckeyes. And the fact that, again, impactful, best game, most watched, viewed, because, I mean, again, I wasn't here for the criteria. I was not here for the criteria because if you're going off like most viewed game, if you're going off like who's going to be watching this game, this is going to be like the most viewed game of the season again, like it's been the few years. If you're going off most impactful, it absolutely very well could be because Ohio State, what if they have a loss or 2 and this game matters to them making the playoff? Michigan, Underwood, they could be better. We don't know for sure, but they could be a playoff fringe team. They could be like 9-2, and they need this game. They need to win this game to get in. And Ohio State's like 10-1, but they might be worse. I just feel like this game just is too important. Still like Michigan hasn't fallen off. They had a kind of year last year. They haven't fallen off. I think this game should be top 3. I would maybe number one, like we had it last year, because of Michigan. As a whole, as the whole team, they declined, but they still beat Ohio State. So to me, like that makes the storylines and just everything to do with this game so big that it can't.
And what I kind of want to prep for this is these next four. Hopefully, it'll make a little more sense once we reveal the next four. And Jeffrey, you'll probably get behind it a little bit, but the thing about it is too, and what me and Jackson talked about is we looked at the landscape. We said, okay, Ohio State's replacing a quarterback. They've got their stud back, Jeremiah Smith, but Michigan, Bryce Young. Is he going to be the starter by then?
Bryce Underwood.
Yep, not Bryce Underwood. Thank you, Jackson. He may be benched by now, for all we know. What's the landscape of this going to look like? I mean, like, I want you all to try to understand what we did here. Like, we tried to do this as respectfully as possible. Go ahead, Jeffrey. Read that.
Wow. Unpopular opinion. If you lose 5 in a row, no longer a rivalry game until the losing team finally wins again. I mean, honestly, I don't even really know what to say about that, because, I mean, at that point, what are you determining as a rivalry game? I mean, you could say any game is a rivalry game. Like, just say Cal versus Pitt. Just say for the next 10 years, Cal and Pitt go 5-5 against each other. Something like that. It's just an example. Okay, is that a rivalry game now? Because both teams are so competitive against? No, because Cal and Pitt have nothing to do with each other. Tennessee, Florida do not like each other at all. Right? That's what makes a rivalry game a rivalry game. Ohio State could beat Michigan for 50 years in a row, but if they still hate each other, if there's still like bad blood there, then yeah, it's a rivalry game. I know that's an extreme example, but I know that's why you said unpopular opinion, but I don't agree with that at all. A rivalry game is if there's bad blood, if there's history, if there's hate.
Louisville, Kentucky.
Fans. You know what I'm saying? I don't agree with that. I absolutely do not agree with that. Like, Indiana has sucked against Purdue for a long time in basketball. For a long time. Right? Like, with Archie and the end of Tom Crean, they didn't beat Purdue for like 6 years. But you know what? When good old Mike Woody and them beat Purdue, oh boy, it all re-engaged again. And I get your point. Like, that's what makes it a rivalry game again, because Indiana finally won. But even when Indiana was losing, they still hated each other. You know what I'm saying? I don't agree with that at all. Like, to me, a rivalry game is if the teams hate each other, if there's history, if there's a reason for it to be a rivalry game. Because you could take any series. You could take Pitt, Louisville. You could take Illinois, Maryland. You could take Kansas State, Texas Tech. All those teams are 5-5 against each other in their last 10 games. They're not rivalry games, and they never will be, because there's no bad blood between them. They're just teams happen to play each other frequently because they're in the same league. But they're not rivals. So that's why Burke said he agrees with me. I appreciate it, Burke. I respect Bean's opinion, because, I mean, I know it was an unpopular opinion. He was just saying it as a question, but to me, I don't know. Well, that's different. If like Indiana, Kentucky used to be a massive rivalry, but they don't play anymore. Now they're about to again in basketball. But yeah, if you don't play each other anymore, it kind of dies. Like Bama, Georgia Tech. I mean, Jackson's been advocating for that forever. It used to be a big deal back in the 50s, but now it's irrelevant. So yeah, a game loses its rivalry status, but if you're still constantly playing each other, like Michigan, Ohio State, just because Ohio State's lost 3 in a row and Michigan lost 8 times before that, those two teams still hated each other's guts. It's still a rivalry game.
It still means the most.
Yeah, it does. It is, Bean, because what happens is that if the rivalry is not played for forever, okay, like Alabama, Georgia Tech, none of us here and none of y'all in chat were around, unless you're like 90, where that game mattered at all. Okay, so it does lose its value, loses its status. It's like SpongeBob.
90?
Just say SpongeBob ended today. Okay, and then 50 years later, you still have SpongeBob from the past. SpongeBob's going to probably be pretty irrelevant by then. It's not going to be a big show anymore. You know what I'm saying? Stuff's only relevant if it's still continuing.
Are we ready to move on to number 4?
Sure. I was just engaging with chat. Sorry. But
You're good. You're good. You're good. No,
Well,
let you fly.
another conference top game rematch.
Yes, number 4, Texas and Georgia, November 15th, week 12, in TBD, network of time to be determined. More than likely, this will be a night game in Athens on ABC. More than likely. But this is what we put ahead of Ohio State, Michigan. And I know people may say, here's the thing. This is actually not that bad of a game to put ahead of. Like, Texas, Georgia, 2 brand names and 2 teams that were picked in the media polls to go 1 and 2, I believe, and to repeat as conference championship game opponents. And here's the thing too about this game is it's Texas, Georgia. It's Sark versus Smart. It's Georgia's new look offense versus Arch Manning. And by this point, Texas and Georgia are probably both going to be playoff teams. We're going to be in that 8-9 win range, meaning they're going to have 8-9 wins by this point. 10 fighting for playoff positioning. Or who knows? And no, Burks, I was not watching WWE while making this. No, I was not. But anywho, this game to me screams, how do I say this? It jumps off the page is the winner of this game could easily win not only the SEC but could win the Natty. I think that's how great both these teams are. But what do you think, Jeffrey?
I mean, I think this game's definitely worthy of being top 5. Yeah, on the list. I mean, it's going to be a good game. Arch Manning, whether the hype's deserved or not, which no, it's not because it's his last name, but he still could be good. We'll see. He deserves to, go out there and see what he can do. He could absolutely be a great player, but we'll see. He can suck too, but we don't know. Georgia, I mean, I know that last year they weren't very good, and they were masquerading as an elite team last year. They almost lost to multiple bad teams. Here we'll see if they're better. I mean, Gunnar Stockton, some people think he's going to be good. Some people think he's going to be trash. Again, he's a question mark. The rest of the team's got tons of talent because Kirby Smart always does. I mean, I feel like this game matters more for Texas, honestly. It's kind of like with Florida. I know people say it matters more for Georgia, but it matters more for Texas because Texas just needs a win. Kind of like that Alabama win a couple years ago that they won in Tuscaloosa, where Milroe played like trash, and then Saban benched him, and then after that, he got it together. If Texas wins this game, it's kind of like Georgia beating Bama. It's just kind of like you're beating down the SEC's best if you're Texas. Like people said they were going to come into the league and they were going to struggle, but if you go in there in your first few years, you beat Bama on the road, and then you go out and you beat Georgia on the road. That's going to make Texas look really good. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's a big game for Texas. Big game for Georgia, too, especially if they got several losses. Like, they need this game to, still make the playoffs or something. But, I don't know. It's just interesting because Texas has, by all intents and purposes, outperformed expectations for them in the SEC, but they still have a lot of critics. And Sark has a lot of critics. I don't think Sark's But you know what? The guy's mostly done good. Like the only sin he did last year was that he couldn't beat Georgia. That's literally it. If he had a won against Georgia both times last year, 2 games they really should have won. The 2 best games played all year last year. Because other than that, guess what? Texas fans would be on cloud 9 right now. And even with the loss in the playoff, that people would still be saying, hey, we were really good last year. We just lost to the best team in college football, though, So, Texas was this close to being, so great, but they lost to Georgia both times. This would be a huge game for them to exercise the monkey off their back that they can beat the SEC's best. Legitimately prove in their place, just like they did with Alabama, even though that game was a bit fluky, all things considered. But a win over Georgia at that point in the season would be massive.
And another thing about this game is, before we let Jackson unleash on it, is the thing about this too is this is a money-making ratings draw ratings getter, top of the card, kind of main event matchup. Texas, Georgia, in Athens, probably with the lights on. College game day will probably be there. This is what you would want if you're Jeffrey. I look at it as this. It's like, for me, this is like, to use an analogy, and yes, Texas is favored, which is really shocking to JT Thompson that they're favored in Athens. But this to me reminds me of the good old days when you have two elite teams, grade to elite teams, and you know that they're on a collision course to face one another, and something's got to give. This is what this game feels like to me. This is one of those games where something's got to give. Someone's got to win. Someone's going to get their heart broken. Someone's going to get their dreams dashed. Someone's hopes of making the SEC championship game is going to leave them that night. That's how important this game is. And the winner of this could win the whole thing. Go ahead, Jackson. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, like Georgia, Texas, the SC title rematch. It's gonna be fun. You're likely gonna see that on Saturday night on ABC. Yeah, I'm excited thinking about this game. The quarterback situation between those two is going to be quite interesting. And is Texas going to get revenge? Will they not? Is it going to be another Georgia win? We'll wait and see what's going to happen for sure.
And the thing about this too is Georgia's schedule. My gosh, they gave Georgia a gauntlet. They've got Ole Miss, Bama, Tennessee, Texas, and that's all within conference. And they got Auburn too. They got Kentucky. Two teams that always seem to find a way to play up to Georgia. So in my opinion, Georgia by this point could be a walking Band-Aid. Could be walking into this an injured, riddled team like they were last year. So Texas, like you said, Jeffrey, this is, I think, like the Florida situation. This is more for Texas. But Georgia has a lot to gain too. I really do think, and JT Thompson, sorry mistake, Georgia's 2.5-point favorites. Okay, that makes more sense. That was kind of interesting. I was like, Texas is favored on the road? I get Arch Manning's good, but I don't know if he's ready to be. That makes more sense. But, and here's the thing too. The thing about it is too, Jackson, let me ask you something. And Jeffrey, if you're here, if Georgia loses this game, does it change your all's opinion of them? I know it's hard to project, but does it change your opinion of them?
No.
What do you think, Jeffrey?
I mean, not really. You know, at Georgia, most people are still going to treat them like an elite program. You know, it's kind of like Alabama. Alabama had kind of a little bit of a rough year last year. I think Georgia kind of had a little bit of a rough year last year, and they kind of masqueraded itself by making the playoffs, but they really weren't that good. If they go like 8-4, 9-3, you know, people are still going to think Georgia's great. It's just a little blip. You know, they'll be fine. I think it'll hurt them slightly, but it's not going to like ruin the reputation or anything.
So, do you think if Texas loses this game, do you think it hurts their reputation?
I mean, it's the same thing. People are just going to say Sark still can't get over the mountaintop. It almost become like a James Franklin type of deal. I think above Franklin because he beat Bama and he's done more, I guess, than Franklin mostly. But he needs to win a game like this. It would be huge if he can win a game like this. It's not going to ruin Sark.
Yeah.
It's just going to be like, well, when are you going to be the best team? When are you going to go out there and prove that you're the best? And that's what this type of game would do.
Well, speaking of games that you need to have a good reputation on if you win this one, we got number 3.
Yes. Number 3, and this is one I know a lot of people are going to look at and be like, why is this so high? This one I tried to fight Jackson on. I did. I tried to fight him on it, but he used his power play on me. He told me if I didn't agree with him, he'd steal my dog. Rotten thing. Anywho, number 3, Penn State at Ohio State, November 1st, Week 10, TBD, time to be determined. and network to be determined. So Jackson, this one, why was this one important? Because everyone's going to look at this and say, well, Penn State can't win this game. So why
Honestly,
should we care?
I thought about I like if it was me, it would be like number one. But we did like agree to like have it at like number three. Because honestly, it's gonna be the game everybody's talking about a lot when we get to week 10. We're
Yeah,
gonna
because
be
every year it's the same thing. Well, Penn State
Yep.
beat Ohio State. It's the same thing. I mean, the last 3 years, honestly, Penn State, especially one of those games, and everybody knows which one that is. Penn State should have won, but they didn't because they're weak. They are weak. Every time they play Ohio State, they are weak, especially on offense. They just don't have great outside play at receiver, and the play calling is weak. And they don't go out there and do what Michigan does. They could beat Ohio State. They got talent. They can do it, but they just won't do it. I think Ohio State Michigan should have been higher than this game, despite all the talking points. It's mostly just because people think Penn State's, for some ungodly reason, number one in college football this year. I don't know why. I don't know how. I don't know when that occurred, but that's what we're going with. So I think that I think this game should have been lower. I think Ohio State
Can Jim
higher, but it is what it is.
Can Jim Knowles help Penn State get over the top on the Buckeyes?
What I mean by that, Jason, is that because people are saying Penn State is this close to being the best, and every time they go out there, they have the talent to beat them, and they even had the pick six, and we're beating them last year, and then on offense, they do absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. Okay, even Michigan with no offense had better offense than Penn State in some of these past few games they've had. They just don't do anything. All right, against Oregon, Penn State puts up 500 yards, and against Ohio State, they don't do anything. You know what I'm saying? Like Nebraska moved the ball better on offense than Penn State did. It's just Penn State. Penn State is weak because they're so close to being really good, and they just don't get it done. I'm not saying that they're a weak program. If that's what you think I was implying, because yes, Penn State is the best in college football. They're a top 10 program consistently. They're really darn good, and most programs would love to be Penn State, but they're not ever getting higher than that. They never go above that. And all the chances they've had against Ohio State that they've blown it's frankly just disappointing. It is, because they've had chances.
And the thing too is, I want to say this is about this game is, fix my headset here. About this game is, I understand where Jackson's coming from. My biggest complaint was what Jeffrey was saying, is Penn State always comes up short when it counts the most. Kind of like how I defend Brian Kelly. Not to go down the LSU rabbit hole, but kind of how I am with him. The LSU and Penn State are essentially got the same head coaches. They've got great head coaches, Hall of Famers, legendary, but they always come up just this short. They can't rise to the occasion. And here's the thing, and what makes this important is, like Jackson mentioned, and I'm sure he'll talk about it a little bit more, but Jim Knowles now being the defensive coordinator for Penn State, is he finally what puts Penn State over the edge, or is this just another chapter in the book, so to speak, where Ohio
It's not
State...
Penn State's defense, it's Penn State's offense.
And that's true. But that's what Jackson was raising.
Penn State's defense was pretty good last year.
I'm not disagreeing. And I'm not disagreeing with that. Like Steve Cherry said, Knowles is a great defensive coordinator. He is. And I think that's part of why Jackson saw the intrigue in this game, is Knowles coming back to the shoe, playing the team he helped win a national title with, and can he finally help little brother Penn State get over that hump of beating Ohio State? I kind of think it's where you're going with that. Correct, Jackson? Would I be correct in assuming that?
Yeah, because like it shuts people up if Penn State beats Ohio State. It's kind of like when Michigan couldn't beat Ohio State and everybody was talking about Harbaugh. And it's what you're hearing with Ryan Day and the lack of wins against Michigan, except for 2019. You know, people are not going to quit talking, good, bad, or ugly. That's how it is.
And Duriel says he'll take Ohio State to win. We're not saying Ohio State's going to win or lose this game. game. We're just saying why this could be, why we think this is number 3, or why me and Jackson do. Maybe Jeffrey doesn't think so, and he says, Jackson, well, oh, that's another thing. But to this point, I mean, I think it's one of these. It's called, for Penn State, this is put up or shut up. They lose this game, it's the same old story. Ohio State wins this game, it's basically, you beat Penn State. Do you want a cookie? Now,
Yep.
Jeffrey, I don't know if you're on the screen, but you're going to love this one. You're going to agree with this one. Are we ready for number 2?
Absolutely. Yeah, because, like,
Jackson, now,
it's not a big
I got to give the grand introduction. Jeffrey's going to love this one, and I know why. This one, I know he won't bash because of who's in it and why. Like, this will be one he completely agrees with. Number 2, Alabama at Georgia, September 27th, Week 5, 7:30 p.m. on ABC. And this game here, College Game Day is going to have a dilemma, folks, because they've got quite a few games they could pick from Week 5. But I digress. Jeffrey, Jackson, this is your all's game right here. Because this is for Bama's season right here. Like, I don't want to over-exaggerate, but I'm going to. This is for Bama's season. Y'all don't win this game, the hot seat for DeBoer is going to start talking.
The sad thing about it is that we had the exact same scenario last year and we beat Georgia, and then we still tanked. So like there's a scenario where Alabama wins this game and still misses the playoffs. And I think it's less likely this year because this game's on the road, so it'd be harder to win. The Boars struggle more on the road, so if we lose this, probably aren't making the playoffs. If we win this game, we could still miss the playoffs. So I don't think this is like the absolute most important game in the world. I really don't. Like for DeBoer or even for Alabama, I understand that it would kind of hurt Bama's reputation because we've owned Georgia. And to lose, it would kind of show the further decline. But Georgia could be better this year. They could be worse. It is in Athens. I mean, we could go 10-2 and lose this game, make the playoffs. It's not going to be that big of a deal. But, we could also go 8-4, 9-3 and win this game. Like I said, I don't know. I think that DeBoer, the first season was a little too fickle. I need to see more consistency. So, this is a massive game. It definitely deserves to be top 2. It's a massive game. I just think that, I don't think it's the end of the world for Alabama, whatever the result is, because the season could still go many different ways.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And it's not the end of the world as well for the Georgia Bulldogs if they lose this one. Although, if Georgia does lose again to Alabama, it's going to get smart over to 1-7 all-time against Alabama. The only win is the 2022 national title for the Bulldogs against the Alabama Crimson Tide. So it's like Alabama is basically kryptonite for the Georgia Bulldogs. And, of course, Jeffrey and I will talk about it some more tomorrow with our Georgia guys from the Voice College Football Network discussing an early preview of that game. But it's going to be a wild ride seeing what Alabama and Georgia are going to bring against one another in Week 5 of the 2025 season. And, it's just like the winner. It's going to be interesting to see what happens for the loser. But it's like, just because you're winning this game does not mean you're automatically in the SEC title. Just look what happened to Bama.
Yes. But the winner of this, it goes a long way for. Let's just say that. You own the tiebreaker. Because here's the thing. Because the way you said that, Jackson, makes people think this game doesn't matter. But it does, because this could be a tiebreaker game when it all ends and done. Bama could be 10-2. Georgia could be 10-2. And they could look back at this and be like, who won that game? Bama. So Bama gets the tiebreaker. They're going to Atlanta. Now, if no one else has any other thoughts on this, I want to let the chat. What do you think we picked as number 1? If y'all had to guess. And before we reveal it, what do y'all think we picked as number 1? Take a wild guess.
Wild guess.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
I would have either had Alabama, Georgia, or Ohio State, Michigan as the number 1 game ahead of game that you guys do, but that's my opinion. But to get that out of the way, yeah, it's Clemson LSU is not a conference game. So.
Now, Jeffrey,
But it could be 10 years from now.
Jeffrey,
yeah, which will show the further decline of college football.
See, Jeffrey was late to our business meeting. Okay, see, I mean, unprofessional was he. I mean, he was so unprofessional. You know, him and Buffy. You know, they were having a great time partying. Me and Jackson, we work hard over here. Jeffrey, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. That little gangster. But anywho, number one, and this is a game I'm personally proud of and looking forward to. Number one is a Big Ten title rematch. Oregon at Penn State, September 27th, Week 5, 7:30 p.m. on NBC/Peacock on Big Ten Saturday night. Big Ten Saturday night. That's right, folks. Big Ten Saturday night, prime time. The world's going to be watching. Oregon at Penn State, Happy Valley, Whiteout. This game right here, ladies and gentlemen, is the best game of the season. I don't care what people think about me. I'm locked in and loving this game. I'm going to watch this over Georgia-Bama. I'm telling you that right now. I'm looking forward to this. But enough about me. Jackson, Jeffrey, take it away.
I mean, to tell you the truth, I'll be watching Alabama, Georgia on the TV, and I'll be watching Oregon.
Yeah, I'll be watching Alabama, Georgia as well over this game. But you know what? Big Ten fans are going to watch Oregon at Penn State more so. So, I mean, you could go either way with it. I mean, honestly, you know, Ohio State, Michigan, Bama, Georgia, Oregon, Penn State, even Penn State, Ohio State, Texas, Georgia, they're really all, I guess, interchangeable. I mean, they're the clear top five. Every game below that is clearly worse. I mean, it's a clear top five. It's a good top five. I just don't agree with the order. But I agree with the top five being the top five. And this game very well could end up mattering a whole heck of a lot at the end of the day. Like, it could determine whether Oregon makes the Big Ten, championship, or Penn State does, or whatever. Maybe if Penn State beats Oregon, it helps springboard them into beating Ohio State later in the year. I doubt it, but you never know. I mean, it's a big game. It's a big game. Both games. The fact that both these games are on the exact same time is pretty crazy. Like that kind of sucks and it's kind of cool at the same time. I kind of hate it because I'd like to watch both. I mean, I will be flipping back and forth, but I will be watching Bama, Georgia 80% of the time, during the commercial. Penn State. But, it's a good game to have it won if you're just like an unbiased fan. I mean, yeah, me and Jackson have some bias with Bama. And honestly, I just think the significance of Ohio State, Michigan. But you know what? It's not a bad pick. It's an unbiased. I see where you're coming from, Austin. I do. I don't think it's a terrible pick. I wouldn't have done it, but I think it's fair to have it here.
Well, and the thing too about this is what makes this interesting is the stigma around this game. Is Stephen Cherry kind of pointed out? Dan Lanning equals James Franklin 2.0. It's two head coaches notoriously when it comes to the big time, when it comes to prime time, when the lights are on the brightest, these two choke up under the pressure. Well, guess what? One of these coaches are going to have to win this game. Somebody's going to have to win this game. There are no ties. And we're going to find out who's legit and who's not. And it's early in the season, too. So, Oregon, we're going to learn a lot about them. And is Penn State as good as everyone says they are? Oregon's a good measuring stick for that. Because Oregon, whether we like it or not, they're the Big Ten champs. By that measurement, they're the best team in the Big Ten if you count their championship. Now, obviously, Ohio State won the whole thing, so that trumps that. But Oregon is tier one along with Penn State. This game is going to be really fun. My question is, Jackson, where do you think game day goes?
Likely to Alabama, Georgia. It's like I don't think anybody. I'm not personally thinking about where game day is going. I'm thinking about what my schedule's looking like on September 27th. I'm flipping between Oregon, Penn State, and Alabama, Georgia. So it's like, there you go. Note to self, I'm going to see to it that I've got my eye on the TV and I've got my eye on the laptop for Oregon Penn State, and I've got my eye on the phone giving my take on X and Instagram on each of these games.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Exactly.
stay up till midnight, 1 a.m. in the morning for BYU Colorado.
Yes, and then go live for Final Whistle with me. And then we'll be getting in a Brian Kelly debate. Again.
But
Burks, it's fine, Austin. You will be forgiven since you're no Burks. With all due respect, no thank
anyway,
you, no. Anyway, here's what we're gonna I gotta ask. Yes.
Back to
So let me-
Oregon Penn State.
Yes. Oregon Penn State. I will say this to kind of put a bow on it. I mean, the top 5, whether you agree or disagree, I mean, like Jeffrey said, we did all right in the top 5. So let me ask the chat: does our top 5 make up for 6 through 10? Or are we at least redeemed? Did me and Jackson redeem ourselves? I mean, I didn't think we did all that bad to begin with. I know I'm being biased because it's my list, but I think we did all right. I mean,
if Penn State loses
top
this
5
game,
at all. It's not a bad top 5 at all. I just think the order is incorrect for me personally, but it's not a bad top 5. I think most people can agree that the top 5 is pretty much legitimately the top 5 games. I mean, everyone in the chat's agreeing with that. So, I mean,
if Penn State beats Oregon in week 5, you're only going to hear Ohio State questions. That's it. But they lose to Oregon on September 27th on week 5 in Happy Valley. That's basically a big game question as a whole for Penn State. But Oregon, I don't think anybody's going to be getting upset with them too much for losing to Penn State. And if there are people that get upset, it's only like two people that are like super drunk, like yelling at the TV after they had a really bad day. Let's put it that way.
So the only complaint looks like we got, Jackson, and I guess Jeffrey, since you're a part of it, you're associating yourself with it. Is Stephen Cherry says take LSU Ole Miss off the top 10. Which, Jeffrey, I think you said that, didn't you? You said take that off and you could kind of maybe make an argument. What game would you have replaced it with? I don't think you said it. Real quick.
Indiana, Oregon.
Okay. You would have put Indiana, Oregon. Okay. I'm surprised you wouldn't put like Penn State, Indiana.
Well, I wasn't going with the 2. I wasn't going with the more than 2 for the same team.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, the bottom 5, I guess me and Jackson.
The bottom 5 is arguably very not. It's not poor. It's just very inconsistent. Why it's there, like the reasonings are all over the place, and that's fair. I mean, it's your list, it's your and Jackson's list. Like I said, I wasn't really involved with it because I would probably try to convince to remove some of these. But again, I understand why you put them there. You wanted Big 12 representation, you wanted ACC representation, and it's fair. I just hate that those conferences aren't as good anymore. It sucks. The college ball's trended that way that it's all Big 10 SEC, but it's just all Big 10 SEC. That's why the top 5 is Big 10 SEC. It's just the way it is. So, I think the bottom 5, it's cool to have some of those games there. I don't think they legitimately are, but I think it's cool that you tried to mix it up. So
here's the thing too, and then we can skedaddle on out of here. What I will say is it's kind of like writing a paper. Me and Jackson, I think, would have had an A+ if this was just our paper, the top 5, right? I think everyone would say this is A+, just reverse the order. And then you get to the bottom 5, then they're like, okay. Then the teacher's like, okay. It went from an A+ to like a B-, maybe if I'm being nice, maybe a B. I don't think we flunked it. Me and Jackson did not fail. I think we did all right. I think this is a good list. I mean, I've seen a whole lot worse out there. I mean, and me and Jackson are by no means experts, by any means. But see, even Stephen Cherry said B-. The top 5 alone carries. But you want to know what's not a B-? What's all
the Bama games, baby.
Well, see, we would have had. I wanted Bama LSU, but Jackson said that wasn't a good idea. So blame him, Godfather. Anywho, you know what's not a B+? puts an A-plus tremendous show to watch each and every week. It's beautiful. I think I might order me some takeout while I watch this show tomorrow, just to show my support. I might even order some Amazon, and that's Alabama at the Voice of College Football. If you all have not checked this out yet, you need to. This will change your life. Jackson, Jeffrey, Johnny, Coach Smook Hine, Manny, and Johnny, they will change your life. They are like magicians. They will show you the way that you never knew you lost. They will take you down a path of righteousness of Alabama football.
Well,
Jackson, take it away, good buddy.
Well, in short, tomorrow's going to be the 47th edition of Crimson Tide Live, where Jeffrey, Coach Burtz, and I are joined by Bo Underwood, and we believe Matt Green's going to join us for an early preview on the Georgia Bulldogs, and we're going to go over our take on the preseason polls. And tomorrow is officially 40 days until kickoff. Well, it's 20 minutes where I'm at until 40 days until kickoff for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And let me tell you something, you're going to be in for a wild ride. And Thursday nights are the Alabama Call-In Show, where Jeffrey and I take your calls all right there on Alabama, the Voice of College Football. And, of course, we can't wait to hear a story time with the Godfather of the SEC about the Keith Jackson story, because that's going to be a fun one. Jeffrey, what have you got going on this week, good buddy?
Absolutely. I appreciate the shout out, Austin, on the Alabama Voice of College Football. We'll be back tomorrow or today if you're on the Eastern Time Zone for that. It's going to be a lot of fun talking about Georgia with the Georgia guys, Bo Underwood and Matt Green. It's going to be fantastic. Also, the Thursday night call-in show is a bunch of fun as well. Appreciate that, Godfather. And also, Only Talk Sports, my YouTube channel. If you guys are watching here and you're not subscribed, definitely would appreciate it if you give it a sub down below. Tons of new content's coming in the future. Again, don't know who I'm going to be going live with in the future with, Jackson, Will, Austin, whoever, in the future. We'll definitely talk about that. I'll be in the works. I'll be doing some live streams more when college football comes back around. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited about it. And definitely appreciate you guys in chat for being along for the ride. And also definitely check out Jackson's channel, Jackson Johnson, 93408. I think that's right. And then Sports Talk with Austin 2002. Definitely check him out as well. So definitely appreciate everybody for being here. It was a fun show for sure.
Yes. And I have some exciting news, and I think Jackson won't mind me sharing this, but get your rocket boots on, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going to do this in the fastest 3 minutes. And no, I'm not stealing from Chris Berman, Jackson. Don't give me that stink eye. This is going to be the fastest 3 minutes. Coming this Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. Get your channel changer or whatever you watch this on, whether it's your computer, laptop, phone, tablet, cellular duplicator device, whatever you watch us on. Me and Jackson are going to begin our conference predictions, and we're going to start in the conference that we have no clue who our champions are going to be just yet. The 2025
The Big 12.
Yes, the 2025 conference prediction, Big 12. 12 is coming this Friday night between me and Jackson. So strap in, get your popcorn, get your buttes, or get you a soda or coffee, whatever you like, because me and Jackson are going to bring you the best Big 12 content you could ever ask for. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we know what you did last summer, but it's okay. We respect that decision.
And who's the conferences we'll cover afterwards?
After that?
That's why you like, comment, subscribe to each of the channels so you never miss a video or another episode on each of our channels whatsoever. And we will see you soon, everyone.
Yes, go Cards.
Roll Tide.
Thanks for being everybody. Go IU and roll Tide.
Jeffrey, put that away.